we're just gonna sit here. You're gonna say you're gonna hit record. We're gonna sit here like assholes, just staring at each other in fucking four squares or rectangles.
Yeah, we're gonna do that for 1 hour straight. So
yeah, just an hour. It's gonna be great audio content.
Well,
which is why we didn't post the audio content for the Switch Sports episode, because it was mostly us just fucking making fun of each other as we bowled.
Yeah, that was fun though. Richie, welcome back. Thanks for joining us again.
How was the date?
Good to have our third team member back.
It was wonderful.
Yeah, you guys, you hearing wedding bells?
As soon as the gonorrhea clears up, we'll.
No.
And what you guys don't know is I made a more tame joke last week and we cut it out, and now Richie whole fucking hog. Literally,
a little bit of penicillin will be fine.
Yeah, you'll be all right. Just clap it between some books. Break up the.
I went in dry, so she can't sit down right now either, so it's a little rough.
Jesus Christ. Since when has a pinprick ever made somebody not be able to sit down?
Depends where you put it.
That was a good lead into 80s horror movies. I really don't know if you get any better than that. I mean,
I don't.
It's what they call podcast gold right there. Bink, welcome back. Thank you again for gracing us with your presence. Appreciate that.
He's speechless, ladies and gentlemen.
She wasn't, clearly.
So last time we were going to do an 80s horror movie themed episode, Rich kind of had to bail on us, and so Bink, myself, and Bob. What's that?
And then go to the clinic.
Yeah, exactly. So Bink, Bob, and myself just decided to kind of roll into some video games. That was fun. We touched on, though, kind of a good lead into some of this horror stuff. And I think this is going to be fun. Richie, I think this is the question you missed. And I think this is going to be a good lead in to how this goes. Do you consider Gremlins a horror movie?
Yes. Yeah, it was a horror comedy. So I consider it a horror movie.
All right, so now here's the thing. We had a little bit of a discussion when we all met last time about this, and I figured this would be a good starting point to kind of bring us back down to earth here. Was it scarier when you were a kid? Obviously.
Oh, absolutely, yes, yeah. And the first one was definitely much scarier than the second one. Like the second one, I don't know if I'd consider a horror. Well, I guess it's still a horror.
It was more a comedy.
It's more, definitely more comedy.
I mean,
but the first one,
that was the scariest part.
What'd you say?
Hulk Hogan being in it was the scariest part.
And was that a fake Grandpa Monster? I think he was fake. I don't think it was the real guy. I don't remember now. It's been a while since I've seen the second one.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, that's the first one of those movies I go out of my way to watch all the time.
if it's on like a cable channel and I'm flipping through it, and I don't have cable, so I would have to be at like a parent's house or somebody that has cable, then I'd watch it. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't horrible though, all things considered. But no, the first one was definitely scary as a kid, and it was that whole town being invaded kind of thing. Like, especially when you see a theater full of those. I mean, they were killing people in that if you watch it. There was some deaths. Like, they killed the old lady in the chair. I don't remember if Mr. Futterman died or not. But, yeah, that was a scary movie.
Yeah, that was one of the things we just kind of touched upon because the reason why I brought that up, Bink texted me a few days before we recorded. Because really, honestly, the precipice of this theme, Bink, after the first time that he was on, threw me some concept and topic ideas and was like, we got to do 80s horror movies. I want to back on this thing. And I'm like, we kind of sat on it for a little bit, and I shot you guys that idea. And then, about a week or so later, he texted me, he's like, is Gremlins a horror movie? And I was like, that's perfect. That's the kind of stuff that we need to get into. It's not just the goofy stuff. We'll get into some of like the really deep. Honestly, this is going to be run by you guys because Bob and I talked about this. I have a handful of ideas on scary movies, horror movies in the 80s, but Bobby, I know you and I are kind of in the same boat on this one.
Yeah, I'm like Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness, and then most of my horror movie stuff from the 80s comes from Gremlins, Gremlins 2, Ghostbusters 1 and 2, and then the Thriller music video, and then playing Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street on the NES. Like I've seen bits and pieces, and like I'm aware of stuff. Oh, and the Halloween prototype for the 2600.
So, all right. So we'll interject our comments. So I'm going to throw this out to our guests. Bink, I know you took some notes, at least a couple lines or pages or whatever you did.
I was bored at work one day.
What do you have to kind of start us off with as far as 80s horror movies in the sense of however you want to take this, because we can take this in any direction.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many like cheesy type ones that are just hysterical, like Killer Clowns from Outer Space. You can go that route. But what I'd like to start with is actually Critters. And that movie messed me up. I watched it with my dad. When it first had HBO, I was probably 6 or 7 years old when it first came out. And seeing that damn critter come up the toilet, I was scared to take a shit for like a week. I thought something was going to come up the toilet. And
I
now I look back on it,
about
it was so cheesy. But at the time, like, it scared the shit out of me. But it was one of those movies I will always remember.
In that case, it sounded like it scared the shit in you.
Yeah, it scared the shit in me. Right? I had to go outside in the yard and shit.
But then a tremor would get you.
What was that?
But then a tremor would get you.
Yeah, exactly.
Going back to Killer Clowns, it was the same people that designed the Critters that designed the Killer Clowns, the Kyoto brothers.
Mm-hmm.
And I love Killer Clowns, by the way.
Oh, Killer Clowns is amazing.
Yeah.
Did they do the tomato one too?
They did not do the Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. No, that was a different. Okay. I actually just picked up the Return of the Killer Tomatoes. Is it Arrow? I think it's Arrow Blu-ray release, which is awesome. Return's got one of the first roles of George
Clooney.
Thank you. Yes, and features the dad. Wow, I'm really. Give me a second. John Aston. Gomez Adams.
Oh, Gomez.
As, Professor Gangrene is what the cartoon was based off of. As Return of the Killer Tomatoes.
You know, it's funny. I always wondered why Professor Gangrene, if I remember correctly, I remember him sounding like Gomez Adams.
It was the same cartoon. Yeah, he was, I think, one of the few people that was the same actor. Like he returned. John Aston would do anything in the 80s. Which he's still around. He just turned 100, just turned 90, something insane.
Yeah, we looked at it's funny. Yeah. This is the first time John Aston's made the podcast. My mom was a big John Aston fan, so I kind of he is. Gosh, let's see. And it's funny because we just looked him up before. Yeah, he was born in 92. Yep, just turned 92.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's he's I don't know. I'm a big fan too. So no, definitely cool. I don't know who else wants to kind of do something.
I'm going to go back off that one as well. Another one that kind of messed me up too was Lost Boys. So the scene where they're eating the Chinese food and it turns to maggots. Like all Chinese food comes in those little boxes, and you're like, it just freaks you out when you're a little kid, you know. And I watched it, a couple of years ago, and it's an amazing movie all around. Lost Boys. I just love that 80s genre of horror movies, and I don't see that anymore, which is sad.
I remember being at somebody, I don't remember whose house it was, but I was at somebody's house, and they and that was on, and specifically that scene, and it messed me up.
Mm-hmm.
It messed me up good. Like, I didn't want to look at Rice ever again. I was like, nope.
Joel Schumacher, the guy that gave us Batman and Robin, going back to the
Get out.
Clooney, I think. Yeah.
Oh. I personally suck at movie actors and directors. Like, I have no idea who's who, but I can tell you what movie is about.
When I was living in Collingswood, they had the Monster Mania Con at the Cherry Hill Hilton, which was 5 minutes away. So I would go to that every time they had it. And it's awesome. I'm trying to think of what scared me. I can't think of anything right now that scared me, but one thing that I keep going back and watching from the 80s is the Reanimator series. Reanimator, Bride of Reanimator. That's Dr. Herbert West. So it's like a remake of a Lovecraft story. But the guy's experimenting bringing dead people back to life with a serum. And he's played by I can't think of the actor's name now, but he was in The Frighteners. He's been in a pile of things, and I have him sign stuff, and I don't know why I can't think of his name. Probably because I drink before we do this show, because we do it at 10 o'clock, so I'm tired and slightly drunk. But yeah, but that's also that same. There's a little bit of comedy there, but not a whole lot. But like enough where it's along the same veins as Evil Dead 2.
I love Evil Dead.
Yeah.
Okay.
Stuff that scared you real quick, and that's one thing I was thinking of. You guys mentioned Lost Boys, and it kind of triggered. My mom was a big Stephen King fan, so of course I got dragged around to see just about anything that was a movie release at whatever age I was. So that my parents had the brilliant idea of taking me to the theater to see Pet Sematary. I think I was 6 or 7 years old when that came out. There's a scene where a little boy, he's about my age, gets smashed by a tractor trailer. I think he's crossing the street or something. If I recall, it was one of those things that I think I saw once 34
It's a bad
years.
road.
Yeah, 34 years ago.
Herman Munster's telling them to stay away from the road.
Yeah. So I've never saw it again because I don't want to. But yeah, it's one of those. It's like frightening. And not that like I'm scared of vehicles or anything, but it was like one of those things. As a kid, I was just like, just absolutely petrified. Yeah. But I will say one other thing, that not a horror movie, but one thing that I was scared to death of for a long time was Volkswagen minibuses, and I want to see if there's anyone.
Did you get taken in one and by a park or something?
I want to say, was it the Partridge Family?
Nope.
Was that
80s movie?
Children of the Corn?
80s movie, not a horror movie though.
Oh,
but I was scared to death of it for a long time.
No idea.
Back to the Future.
Oh, because the terrorists are in
it.
Yep,
they pop up out of in the park. But that was the first movie I recall seeing in the theater. I was 3, so I remember up until I was probably 12, 13 years old. I'd see one of those things and I would hunker down in the back seat, thinking someone was going to pop through the roof and shoot.
Oh, that's amazing. I love it. Love it so much. But that actually, I've been racking my brain trying to think of 80s horror movies, but I didn't even think of that. Child's Play, Children of the Corn. What was the other one? Like I'm missing on a bunch of them. I never saw
almost
never saw Exorcist.
That was an 80s.
Or The Fly or any of that stuff.
Oh, The Fly, The Blob.
Yeah,
those are all classics.
See, I like the original ones. The Blob from the 50s.
Yeah, Steve McQueen.
Yeah.
I now live down the street, not down the street. One town over from the Colonial Theater, the one that they run out of.
No kidding.
While they do Blobfest. Yeah. It's Phoenixville, so it's like it's maybe 2 cities over. But yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, my parents are big fans of the 50s. I'll call it horror. I don't know.
It was horror.
Yeah, for the time.
At the time it was. Just like a lot of the 80s stuff that we saw. It was horror at the time.
Yeah, they just had that on Svengoolie. I'm not just. I was going to say the last time I saw The Blob was on Svengoolie.
Oh, he's funny.
I watched it with my parents. Yeah. Going back to the Stephen King, Salem's Lot, the made-for-TV one. That scared me as a kid because there's that scene where the little boy's in his room and his buddies. The little boy's in his room on the second floor and his buddy's outside the window, asking him to let me in.
No, you never say yes. Come in.
Yeah, well, he was a little boy.
Doesn't matter.
You always let them in.
No. Well,
all right, I got another question for you. Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Do you consider that a horror?
Ooh, good question.
No.
This chilled monkey brains kind of messed me up too.
Yeah. No, I get that. And then the whole
beating
heart out. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But no, I wouldn't consider that horror.
But what if when you're a kid though? That's what I love about that question.
Here's what's messed up though. Like legit horror movies would jack me up. That nothing, no reaction whatsoever. I was like, oh, that's gross. But like,
I want to call that a horror movie because the fantasy involved with ripping out someone's heart and them still being able to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still that pulpy thing that they were going after with. It's pulpy to the extreme from what they were going after in Raiders of the Lost Ark, which also had fantasy because they had, stuff shit coming out of the Ark and blowing people up. So I don't know. I don't know if the intent of that was to scare or if it was just a adventure movie that had scary parts in it.
I think it was probably the second one, but as a kid, you think of so much stuff scarier than what it actually is. That's like Hellraiser and Nightmare on Elm Street. Like those didn't scare me, but it was the things that could possibly happen to you that could scare me more than anything. Like I was thinking it was,
I was the opposite. I was more scared of stuff like Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Fucked me up.
Really?
Yes. Oh, it fucked me up bad. Killer Clowns from Outer Space and like that kind of shit fucked me up. But seeing Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, nothing.
I just want to say real quick that I have the Dickies did the soundtrack to that, and I have a Dickies ad slick signed by the Kyoto Brothers from one of those Monster Mania cons. It's framed into my basement. It's awesome. It's got the 3 masks on it as like a sell point.
That's cool.
I never found Freddy Krueger. I didn't think was scary. Even as a kid, I wasn't that scared of him. I thought Hellraiser was scary, especially the first Hellraiser.
Oh, Hellraiser,
yeah.
Yeah, Freddy was just kind of like goofy.
He was too goofy. Yeah,
Freddy was too campy.
What they turned him into in Rick and Morty. That
Scary Terry.
Yeah.
Now Saturday the 14th. That's a horror movie. You ever see that one?
I know.
You need to check out.
Talk about this one. Yeah,
that's your homework. The movie's hysterical.
Saturday the 14th.
Yep.
I want to say that I've seen that because that came out. That was what 85. Yeah. I
want to say a spoof on Friday the 13th movie.
Yeah,
gotcha.
It was fun. It's a fun movie to watch.
I want to say I've seen that. That was kind of in the because it's slapsticky, isn't it? If I remember correctly. So it's kind of in the genre of like the think of Airplane to Airport as Saturday the 14th would be to Friday the 13th.
Okay.
If you take Friday the 13th as being at the time it was released a dead serious movie, kind of hard to go back now and think that, but
right.
That's I remember because I can remember watching that stuff with my parents, but again, that's been a long time ago. But yeah, that's I need to check that one back out too. It's been a long time since I've seen that one.
There was going back to recent watching stuff with your parents. Going back to Stephen King again, the Cat's Eye, with the little troll that tries to steal the little girl's breath. I remember that freaking me out as a kid. And then there was a Tales from the Dark Side episode that was kind of similar with a little monster that lived in a closet. And for some reason, I guess I was just too young when I first saw that. But I remember watching that with my parents and then not being able to sleep for a couple nights because I thought something was going to come out of my closet.
You just had a good.
Jenny was going to come out of your closet.
You just had a good point there, though. You said that when you're a kid, like you lose a night of sleep or two from seeing something like that, and obviously, growing up, I kind of laugh at yourself whenever you were a kid doing that. But it legitimately, you're right. Like that stuff was like this legitimately for the time, like that was it. I mean. Bobby's still scared of clowns that are coming from outer space.
Fuck clowns. I fucking hate clowns. I don't like them. They need to stay the fuck away. And that's why whichever one of you motherfuckers figured out a way to make that clown thing pop up on my Facebook, I hate you.
So does that mean you don't like Pennywise either?
Pennywise does. See, all right. So here's the thing. I don't remember who I discussed this with, but clowns that are supposed to be scary don't freak me out.
See,
but it's clowns. Like the other clowns, the normal ones, they're undercover.
Like Bozo?
Yeah, like Bozo's trying to pull some bullshit.
We got that other killer clown, Ronald McDonald, giving everyone diabetes.
Yeah, fuck that guy. Yeah, diabetes and high cholesterol and fucking COPD and shit. No, fuck that guy. I hope the king kills him.
I'm 41 years old. I can't eat from McDonald's without getting the shits anymore either. So,
Well,
There you
dude,
go.
I don't think anybody
Yeah.
could eat from McDonald's without getting the shit.
that's been the last like about 15 years of my life. So
I think it's just in the McDonald's food now, as they've started putting laxatives in as some kind of deal with the government so they don't get sued.
yeah.
Either that or it's just McDonald's has always been nasty. The only thing I like from McDonald's is their flurries, which don't work most of the time, and I like the breakfast sandwiches. And they killed the bagel down here. You can't get a bacon, egg, and cheese bagel down here for whatever reason. I guess we're too far from New York, so they won't ship them to Florida.
We don't have bagels here anymore.
odd
Really?
considering how many Jews are in Florida.
I know. It's so
It's the water.
dude, look, it is. The water's fucking terrible down here, just like everything else.
Which
All
is
right,
odd
but
because
this
you're
isn't
under the
about-
water. Yes.
Yeah, but this isn't about Florida and Florida bashing, even though I could do an entire fucking show on that. This is about 80s horror. So,
I don't know. Florida scares the shit out of me.
well, it scares the shit out of me too. Trust me. I'm trying to fucking figure my way out of this goddamn hellhole. But so what was funny to me, and this happened with a lot of different genres, or a lot of different movies, I should say, from the 80s, where adult movies became kids' cartoon and toy lines. So, and video games. So we already talked about, the Friday 13th video game, the Nightmare on Elm Street video game. Rambo became a cartoon show. Beetlejuice, which I don't know, you would have called that horror? I mean, it was kind of horror comedy.
Comedy horror, yeah, big time.
So it had a TV show and a toy line and a video game. There was what other games can you guys think of?
Attack of the Killer Tomatoes had a video game.
Yes.
Attack of the Killer Tomatoes had a video game and
Robo-
had the animated TV show.
Yeah. RoboCop. That was R-rated. He got a cartoon.
Predator.
TV Predator.
Aliens.
Predator had a cartoon?
No.
We had a video game.
Yeah. No, you know what we forgot? The oh fuck, why am I blanking on it? Toxic Crusaders.
Oh, I got that on my Plexer. I actually have, right here.
Yeah, I have the Toxic Avengers on my list.
Nice.
Yeah. And then I got the comics signed. Lloyd Kaufman I met a couple of times there.
Out of all the movies to come out, how is Troma gonna have, how are they gonna have a successful cart? Well, I mean, I thought it was successful. I liked it, but they got a Playmates toy line.
made it here. Yeah.
Did the Turtles, so they were doing something right. But that show was amusing to me. I liked it.
I love the Toxic Crusaders. The first movie is the only good one, and maybe Citizen Toxie, the fourth one. But they make I'm not gonna say good, but a lot of their horror stuff is entertaining. Sergeant Kabuki Man, and there was a Troma movie. It wasn't. It had nothing to do with Lloyd Kaufman. It was somebody else, but it was called Sucker the Vampire, and the vampire drank somebody's blood who had AIDS, and they caught AIDS. Oh, and then there was also Killer Condom, where obviously the condom comes to life and kills people. But the condom was designed by the guy that designed the Alien and Aliens, and H.R. Giger. Yeah, however you pronounce his name. Yeah.
Oh shit! Because I knew of that movie because I always lumped that one in with was it one that was called Rubber, but it was like a killer tire.
That's also
Rubbers,
where James Gunn, the guy that's doing Guardians of the Galaxy and Suicide Squad, got his start was on Truman movies.
Yeah,
he helped with Romeo and Juliet. He may have worked, did something on there. Yeah, that's why Lloyd Kaufman was in Guardians of the Galaxy.
He's pretty awesome.
All right, so Bink, let's go down some of your list here. What else do you have on here? So I want to kind of go through and see.
Well, one thing that I thought of was George Lucas, him doing the Lambeth and Dark Crystal. Those were unique, more fantasy than anything, but had a dark twinge to them.
And again, when you're a kid,
I remember that stupid thing laughing,
Oh.
Yeah.
What about?
I always wanted to be one of the hands that got to touch Jennifer Connelly.
Not to cut you off, but along those, Jesus Christ, we're not doing a video for this one, right?
I mean, no,
I hope
it's the video's being recorded, but we're not posting that.
Okay. All right. Just making sure. So, what about the Richie's making lewd hand gestures? That's why I'm losing my shit. What about the Never-Ending Story?
I tried to watch that recently, and it doesn't hold up.
I'd say it's more
And-
fantasy than.
Yeah, I wouldn't call
Yeah.
it. I guess the darkness is supposed to be scary. It's just it was made for a very young audience.
That was made for
it's-
kids.
Yeah,
Yeah.
kids. So it's hard to it's hard to call it. I don't know. I don't know if I call it Labyrinth. The Dark Crystal I never saw as a kid, so trying to watch as an adult, I just can't get into it at all. But Labyrinth I did see as a kid. I used to see it all the time at my mom's house, who had HBO, and it was always on HBO. So, and that introduced me to David Bowie, who obviously I fell in love with, and Jennifer Connelly, who I just mentioned I fell in love with. Oh, Jennifer Connelly. And it's just that's one of the movies that I bought on VHS, DVD, Blu-ray, and I don't know if it's out on 4K yet, but if it is, I'll eventually pick it up.
Yeah,
That and The Godfather I just bought for like the 5th time on a new new thing. Not that The Godfather's horror, but I'm just thinking about it.
That's a
Evil
great
Dead I
80s
got on
horror
4K.
movie.
Yeah. Evil Dead 2 was Blu-ray 4K release.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Well, all right. I'm not buying another copy of Evil Dead. I'm not buying another copy of Evil Dead.
All right, so
Well, I also have Scarface on my list. And
All right.
the reason why is because I think it's reality of happened. So it's reality scary in the sense that that shit went on in Miami in the 80s. So I don't know.
I could almost call that like not a slasher movie, but there is the scene with the chainsaw.
Yeah.
yeah,
You have Al Pacino doing a bad Cuban impression.
Oh, it was awful.
Yeah.
Was it bad or was it great?
It was so bad that it was great.
Yeah, that's one of those movies that it's funny.
Al Pacino in brown face is what I always want to see.
I was always a big fan of watching Goodfellas, Casino, and all those movies. And obviously Scarface was a little bit before it was when we were born, but I mean, what was that, 83 Scarface? Right? Maybe.
Yeah, around there.
I almost want to say
I saw it in the young
or maybe
kid.
80. I don't know, whatever. It was early 80s, and that was one of those movies that I watched. Yeah,
83.
Yeah, I thought so. It's because I'm always right. Thanks. It's one of those movies I watched.
My bananas.
I believe you for Bob.
Wow. No, that I watched, I owned, but I was just not. I don't know. It was to me always overrated. That's my take for the night. Always overrated. But I do like the
That's
fact
because you're not a rapper.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But I do like the fact that you brought that up as a potential horror movie, though, because, obviously more gangster action, whatever. But for that reality-based stuff, I mean that kind of does lend into some other things. Richie brought up made-for-TV movies or potentially other movies from the 80s. Look back to the original Terminator. I'm not saying horror movie, but there's certain scenes that could be construed as being horror or very scary, particularly if you're younger watching that, because it's very dark. It's the futuristic stuff that is just really bleak.
I think anything with an apocalypse could probably be called horror.
Right. And so I think it's just a brilliant thing. Did you have Terminator on your list, Jeff?
Yeah.
Going back, I got to look up to see when it was made now, but I remember going back as a kid watching it with my mom. God, he must have been home from school or something, but it was called The Day After. It was a movie. I want to say it was a mini series in the 80s about nuclear bombs dropping and the fallout of and it's the most depressing second most depressing movie I've ever seen. By the end of it, you want to slit your wrist. There's babies dying and they're burying them in the backyard because nuclear bombs fell on New York. The only movie more depressing was $1 Billion Babies, which I don't think counts as a horror movie.
No, I thought you were going to say Clerks 3.
$1 Billion Baby. What is it? Clerks? Nah.
Or oh no, that one's not out yet. Jay and Silent Bob reboot. That's what I thought you were gonna say.
It's got monsters in it, like his daughter, but other than that, it's not a scary movie.
And you're all wrong anyway. Up is the most depressing movie of all time. Just
Dude, yes.
Yeah.
Only the first half hour.
No,
No,
Up and
the
Toy
whole
Story
thing.
4.
Yes. Disney makes the worst books ever.
He finds a little Asian kid to take care of, though, and they become a family, and it's not depressing.
Did they though?
Yeah, at the very end, you see him. They're watching buses, and that stuff that they did on HBO, the Doug Day stories or whatever the hell it's called. That's the best stuff on HBO or Disney Plus, rather. The little animated shorts with Doug.
I haven't watched them yet, so I'll have to watch those.
They're
But
awesome.
no, dude, Up. Listen, I loved Toy Story, the first one. Every movie since Toy Story has been horrifying. Like every Toy Story movie since Toy Story original has been depressing, and Up is just as depressing.
We could do a whole episode on Pixar horror. Horror.
Dude, seriously, like
Monsters,
a lot of Pixar.
Exactly.
Yeah,
You're right.
Monsters Inc. was all right.
See, they're all about getting old and dealing with that, though. So it sounds like you're afraid of getting old, is what's going on here.
Well, I'm already fucking
Which is
old.
common for yes. I was going to say.
I'm already old.
It's like
that ship is past. But no, dude, those movies are fucking depressing. Look, when they release a fork or a spork called Forky, that his catchphrase is "I'm trash," and that's the most relatable figure or the most relatable character to me. Something's wrong.
Yeah, this is more about you. Yeah. Yes.
All right, let's bring it back to
depressing.
Let's bring it back to 80s horror. Jeff, what else you got on here?
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
That was 70s. But I'll give it to you.
And I love how they did a commercial, kind of just make fun of it, just a couple of years ago, where they had a group of kids and they're like, "Let's run into that barn," and behind the chainsaws. It's like the car is running. Let's go there. Whatever the shit it is.
There had to be some kind of 80s version of that, though, Rich.
Oh, they kept making them, so you didn't see any of this.
Exactly.
Yeah,
there was.
McConaughey was in one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say there was
the second one had Dennis Hopper. So
there's been one. There's been one at least in every decade: 74, 86, 90, 95, 03, 06, 13, 17, and then this year.
Yeah, Netflix just put one out that wasn't good. At least I didn't enjoy it. I expected it to be better.
Yeah, I think actually McConaughey was in the 95 one.
Yeah, that's I don't know, interesting.
Did you guys watch Tales from the Crypt growing up?
It is. Yes, that was awesome.
Oh, that was another one that had a cartoon show too.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tales from the Crypt Keeper. Yeah.
That was on Saturday mornings, right after Turtles.
And toys. The cartoon had toys.
Yeah, it had the toy line and everything. Like that shit was beyond bizarre to me. Seriously,
awesome. I mean, it was you had the good horror stories based on the old comics, and as a kid in the late 80s, early 90s when that was coming out, there was nudity in it. So that just made the whole thing just perfect.
Yeah.
That's why I remember watching it at your house.
All right. Bink, what else you got?
What is this, the Bink story?
Yeah. I'm gonna go through your notes. I'm gonna go through your notes. You're the one feeding this content.
I've got one that
prepare for this.
No, I'm gonna go with a Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Because Dr. Doom, he was pretty scary if you were a little kid. I know it's a stretch, but I had to throw out one cartoon on there.
And you didn't go with Evil Tunes, where like they come out of the thing and attack Shannon Tweed?
I don't remember that one.
He was naked.
Oh, there's titties involved, so there you go.
Yeah, it was one of the good 80s. A good 80s horror movie is going to have gratuitous nudity, which is something that left the world in the 80s, it seems like almost.
Yeah.
But I like Roger. I like Roger Rabbit.
Classic.
I don't know if that'd be scary or not. Wizards. That was the 70s, though. I want to say Ralph Bakshi.
What movie?
Wizards. That was science versus technology apocalypse thing.
77.
Now you have me thinking of cartoons. The heavy metal movie. I want to say that was 81. That was scary.
Was it scary?
It was supposed to be a horror. Actually, you have zombie fighter pilots and the Captain Stern where he turned into a Hawk. Yeah. I just got that on 4K. I just watched that. That's why I knew.
I've never seen it.
Oh,
It's
it
got
was
a
awesome.
hell of a cast. John Candy's in it. Eugene Levy.
Eugene Levy. Yeah. It
Harold
was
Ramis is in it.
It looks and sounds better than it is. Like they are all stories from famous heavy metal, the magazine. So you got like Bernie Wrightson, who was a very big horror comic guy, did a scene for it, and you had a scene that was related to like just other independent comic book guys. So like it looks beautiful, especially in 4K. And then the soundtrack was not necessarily heavy metal music or like rock music of the time. And it's one of those things where you should, like I said, the scariest one that always sticks in my mind is there's this one scene where the World War II fighter pilots are flying and they get stuck somewhere and they all turn into zombies. You don't need to know why, but then it's all playing. I want to say that's Mob Rules by Black Sabbath during that one, but it could be wrong. And it's just the soundtrack's fantastic. So you get a little like out of your mind for a while and you put that on and it's cool.
All right, here's a stretch question. What are you guys' thoughts on The Empire Strikes Back?
Not
at all?
No.
The scene where he's with Yoda and he goes into that place where he's supposed to leave his weapons but doesn't and cuts off his own head, or he pictured out to be Darth Vader. That's kind of scary.
There's some dark elements to it. Right.
And that scene with Yoda telling him he should be scared, that was a little, as a kid, that, was unnerving.
Mm-hmm.
And to hear Miss Piggy's voice come out of that little green guy, that's kind of scary too as a kid.
Kind of hot.
That was just her and Kermit's son.
There you go.
That was. Or daughter.
Can you guys imagine Kermit and Piggy fucking though? Like, how does that work?
I don't wanna.
Can I? Actually, have you ever seen Meet the Feebles? Which may count as a horror movie. It's got a rabbit. Is it the rabbit that has flashbacks to Vietnam? It was early Peter Jackson movie.
1989.
He did a lot of good horror. Yeah. And it was a dirty, like before they had Avenue Q or whatever, it was a dirty puppet movie. He did another one called Bad Taste, which was scary too, where it was these aliens come down and raise people as food for a fast food joint, or try to eat people for fast food. Peter Jackson had some really good early horror movies. They weren't scary as much as they were funny scary. You got back to that comedy horror thing.
The only thing I remember about Bad Taste is the big skeleton dude on the cover.
Yeah.
I remember seeing that in a video store, and I've never seen it. I've never seen that. I've never seen Meet the Feebles, but I remember the big like skeleton dude.
Going back to video stores, when Bink mentioned the critter coming out of the toilet, I always think of the Ghoulies cover with the ghoulie coming out of the toilet.
Yeah, in
the college campus. Yeah.
Yeah, that was another one that there was Critters, Ghoulies, and then they were obviously both ripoffs of Gremlins.
Gremlins, yeah.
But it was funny how much stuff was so derivative, and it was like so derivative, and nobody really. It was all like there was just such an appetite for shitty horror movies in the 80s.
Well, I don't know. It wasn't an appetite. The thing was with video stores, and I forget who said it was in something. It was. As long as you made the cover look good and it was a horror movie, it was going to get rented in a video store and made a shitload of money. So that's why you'd have all the big box stuff.
Yeah, the 18-year-over one in there as well.
Yeah, that's a great point, because I remember, I know you guys do too, just kind of wandering around those late 80s into the 90s, obviously. With that cover art, and obviously for me, I was looking for wrestling tapes and stuff, but for that cover art to stick out, that's what drew you in. That's what it was. And
some
that
of
was
them
it.
About the horror movies, they had ones where like you'd push a button and the eyes would light up on whatever monster was on the cover, or you'd have the big box ones with like the like an embossed cover with foil and
the
crap,
3D
like comic books.
Yeah,
anything to draw you into. Oh well, this probably sucks, but it looks entertaining.
Yeah, all I had to see was the name Monster, and then I was sold.
Yes.
But no, it's the same thing as the toy in the cereal box, right? I mean, the content could be absolute garbage, but hey, you know what's the shiny draw?
Yeah, like that's how I found what the hell, the Puppet Master series. And that was that could be a little scary, but again, you got that whole comedy thing.
Yeah,
There's a lot of horror comedy back then.
yeah,
It wasn't Saw.
No.
And those new movies don't do much for me. I don't know what it is. It's just like I see them, okay, I'm ready to move on.
Yeah.
You know what it is, man? We're all adults at this point, and we realize that nothing is scarier than life itself. So it's not,
That's why we're scared of Up.
Right. Piss off,
Seriously,
Ghost.
dude. That's no joke. Like, I can't say it was scary, but my goodness, it just
It hit you.
yeah, exactly, right in the feels. It's just depressing. I mean, but that's life. You're right. I mean, that is like legitimately the scariest thing is what you see in front of you, and that's the great thing about movies, and they're supposed to be the escape. And 80s horror is an interesting genre in the sense of, it was an escape for, I guess for the entertainment value, but really looking back now, all these years, I mean, I mentioned Pet Sematary. I still will not go back and watch it for various, obvious reasons. But the other things that I just laugh at, it's hard for me to think that for a minute that they were even remotely scary. That you guys talked, but Freddy Krueger stuff. I mean,
yeah,
right.
The Pet Sematary had a sequel starring Clancy Brown, and that was like, if you want to get over your fear of Pet Sematary, watch the second one. Mr. Krabs, by the way, is Clancy Brown.
Oh, great! Now, okay, all right.
Like I think a movie that changed,
or the bad guy in Highlander, same guy. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
Like a movie that changed like a lot of film in Hollywood, I think was Aliens. A lot of movies after that ripped off so much from Aliens. I don't know. It just kind of transcended when it was made that how much other movies just steal shit. That's what half of it is. Yeah,
and that's a straight up classic sci-fi horror example from the 80s. I mean, I don't know that you could get any better example of sci-fi horror in the decade itself, honestly. It's for the time, and anybody watching, I think that's a little bit of a seat jumper. Now it's a shame that some of the technology and the effects don't really age the best over time in movies like that. But yeah, in the 80s, I mean, yeah, definitely. That's a good one.
And then you look at Spaceballs, how they ripped off that scene with the alien coming out of the chest.
Yeah.
Hello, my baby. Hello, my darling. Hello,
good old Space.
That I'll tell you what, that fucked me up.
Really?
Fucked me up. Yeah. I love that whole movie, and then it got to that part. I'm like, God damn it.
Just unexpected, huh?
Yeah. It's like, why'd you have to go and ruin a perfectly good comedy movie with that shit? And then now I find it funny, obviously. But
yeah,
I was, dumbass little kid.
It is what it is. I think that's the great thing about posing the that's the other one. Did we touch on Ghostbusters last time or no?
We did. We talked about Ghostbusters because I told the story of Richie and I going to
that's
a corner store and buying the Ghostbusters 2 trading cards.
Yeah,
that's right. So, but yeah, no, I mean that's another thing too. Kind of like the Gremlins thing. Yeah, when you're a kid, I mean, there's certain scenes in that are kind of spooky. I mean, hell, the name of the movie is Ghostbusters, right? I mean, they're chasing ghosts. Obviously, it's meant to be a comedy,
right?
But there are some heavier elements in there. But yeah, we talked about that too. Yeah, Richie, Ecto Cooler fan.
As a kid. Now it's just tangerine juice. I'm not so impressed. But
can you kick him out of the group?
Definitely as a kid.
Let's see. Where's the kick button?
I don't drink High C at all anymore. It's that whole diabetic thing we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Gotta be
If he
sugar-free,
drinks
yeah.
it, his foot will fall off. So I guess we give him a pass.
Yes.
Now, me
I
on
don't
the
see
other
why you're
hand-
complaining. You have 2 of them.
Exactly. There you go.
Plus, you get a cool wheelchair.
There you go.
You'd be like Professor X. Although, I'm not going to give any spoilers, but has anybody seen Doctor Strange yet?
I know you have.
Yeah, I just did. It was really good. All right,
No.
nobody else. Nobody else.
Directed by Sam Raimi.
Yes, which I.
Nope.
Oh, and there might
He
be a
does
cameo.
the shaky cam. Is there? Okay. Well,
Yeah,
he's in
there
like
might-
everything he does. So.
Well, no, but that's But no, I was looking, and that's what's funny, like because with Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness and pretty much everything else, like he did Darkman, in almost everything else that he's done, you can see like signs of him being a director, even into Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2. Like Spider-Man 2, when Dr. Octopus's tentacles are coming alive,
Oh yeah.
you get the Evil Dead camera, and I'm like, yes, Sam Raimi. I didn't see as much in Doctor Strange, and it was a little bit disconcerting to know that it was, you almost forget that he directed it until the cameo happens, and then you're like, oh yeah, that's right, but it was really good. I liked it.
Does it have too much of the processed MCU feel to it?
Stan Lee's in it.
No. That would have been there was a zombie, but it wasn't Stan Lee.
Beyond the grave.
He still tweets though, so he might still be alive.
Isn't it his daughter or something that tweets for him?
No, it's some kind of company.
Wow. Well, that's some bullshit.
At the very end, wasn't he suing his daughter for
Oh, that's
elder
right.
abuse or something? Yeah.
Yeah, he was. But no, like I was just, it wasn't overly processed. It was just shot differently than like you could. It wasn't something where you're looking at it and you're like, Jesus Christ, this is fucking hack shit. Like it was done really well, but it seems like his filmmaking evolved a little bit for it and got away a little bit from some of the stuff that was like staples of his work.
Right.
But it was fucking
He
expertly
did that.
shot.
That Oz movie for Disney too, but I haven't watched it.
Oh, Oz the Great and Powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did. That was good too, and that had some
Okay.
some Raimi-isms,
Gotcha.
if you will.
Yeah.
But that was pretty good. Let's talk. All right, let's talk about that. How about Return to Oz?
That was scary. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. That was, and I don't remember exactly what it was about that movie.
The Whalers, the little monsters and everything. It was creepy. They made that to be creepy.
Yeah. So I remember it because I remember it being creepy. It's been so long since I've seen it.
Even little baby Faruka Volk is scary.
Fairuza Balk is in that movie?
She's Dorothy.
Get the fuck out.
Yeah,
Good old
girl from
Vicky
Waterboy
Valancourt.
and like The Craft. Yeah, that was her.
Yeah. Oh, get the fuck out. I completely forgot. I forgot about that. See, that's what I'm saying. It's been so fucking long. The only thing I really remember is that it was creepy and that there was the robot, the TikTok.
Yeah. And then the things that worked for the bad people, they were the rollers, I think, or the skaters. Ever they had the little wheels on their feet and long legs.
Yeah.
That was creepy. Yeah.
Shit, yeah, I completely forgot about that.
I was trying to think back because that's my parents always had movies on. I remember Saturdays vividly just going through, but a lot of it was like seemingly more like 70s stuff. And Bobby and I went through some of these and talked about like really campy 70s films before. And I was just trying to think of like if any of these bled into the 80s, but I guess they didn't. We've talked about like the Night of the Lepus and some of the bizarre, like really crappy, like 70s,
like the goldfish that ate Pittsburgh. Or something like that.
just really strange 70s ones. And I can't trying to think of any of those spilled in the 80s, but I don't know. It's such a different time, really.
Yeah.
They got away from the campy and they created their own version of it.
Right.
So, well, if you're gonna go, I don't know if we consider it campy, but anything John Carpenter did was really good. Like starting with, I don't know, going back to is it a horror movie? Is Big Trouble in Little China horror.
Oh yeah, that's a fun one.
And
I've
that's
It
got
has
that kind of
elements.
campy quality. What'd you say?
never seen it.
You've never seen Big Trouble in Little China? Oh,
That's
that's
the
sad.
that's a
Kurt Russell and
Kurt Russell, yeah. Now I'm more of a fan of the Escape from New York, Snake Plissken,
the
Kurt
little
Russell.
Asian guy that's been in everything back then. I can't think of his name.
Treat Williams.
No, the old Asian guy.
Oh,
No, I did like Escape from New York was
New York.
a little too. I mean, the special effects in
Too-
both of them
too-
sucked ass.
Too perfect? Is that what you were gonna say?
I was gonna
Where you
say
have,
a little
what
too
the-
campy, but
Oh.
no, I'm thinking Escape from LA. Escape from LA was the one where he surfed on that really shitty.
Yes,
Yeah.
that was
CGI.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Escape
that's,
from New York. You had Ernest Borgnine driving a taxi, and what the hell? I can't think of the guy's name now. It's not Samuel L. Jackson. It's one of the fat guy that played Darth Vader. He was the bad guy.
James
Wasn't
Earl
he?
Jones.
No, it wasn't James Earl Jones. It was Chef. It was
Isaac
Oh,
Hayes.
Isaac Hayes.
Yeah,
Isaac
he
Hayes,
was the villain. Yeah.
So let me ask you this. Do you remember, Rich, there was a game, and you guys may have played it too, but there was a shareware game going around back in the day called Quarantine, where you were in a taxi that had guns and stuff on it. And it was like a first-person shooter, but you were in a taxi.
No, I don't remember this.
Okay. So, because if I remember correctly, it was kind of loosely based off of Escape from New York.
was that an arcade game?
I don't think it was an arcade game. I know I only played it on PC. It
Let's
was like a
see.
shareware.
Quarantine game. Okay, that came out in '94. Oh yeah! Wow, look at that. It's kind of like got the Doom feel to it.
Yeah.
Huh.
But I always felt like that was somewhat based off of
The
Escape
second
from New
game
York.
was called Quarantine 2 Road Warrior. So he kind of tells you what it's ripping off right there.
I don't know, because was Mad Max like in a fenced in city, like a barricaded off city?
No, but like in Mad Max Road Warrior, though, he's driving around a car and killing people.
Yeah.
Oh, when was
No, I knew
was
that.
this the 80s? Was Death Race 2000 the 80s or is that the 70s?
No, that's the '70s. Roger Corman.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. It was
With Stallone
1975.
and that guy who died from a Thai hooker strangling him. What the hell is his name? Carradine.
David Carradine.
Yeah, Carradine. Yeah, I've got that on DVD. That's a
That's
classic.
awesome. I have
I
those
was-
PSP, the PSP disc things. The
Oh,
UMD.
the UMDs,
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
To this day, I still will see someone crossing the street. I'm like, 10 points.
Yes. I have the Toxic Crusader or Toxic Avenger rather on UMD too.
Nice.
Yes.
Are UMDs worth anything anymore?
No, not at all. The games can be worth something, but none of the movies.
Nah. That's a
No.
shame.
It is a
I
shame,
thought that was a really good for what it was. I thought the
at the
PSP
time
was
it
a
was
really
cool.
good
Absolutely,
system.
yeah.
And then they
Let's
made the
try-
Vita, and
Let's flip back to some '80s horror like type
How about
questions.
Videodrome? David Cronenberg with Debbie Harry and James Woods.
I know this. How do I
It was
know this?
really good. That was the guy James. Is it James Woods? Look it up for me, so I don't have to look it up. But I'm pretty sure James Woods plays executive at a cable channel, and he's picking up these satellite broadcasts of snuff movies. And it turns out that the snuff movie channels he's picking up are brainwashing him to become an assassin. Because
Oh.
this is early Cronenberg. It's really good. And
Yeah, it's James
Debbie
Woods.
Harry
Yeah.
plays. Yeah, Debbie Harry plays. I don't like James Woods' political stuff, but anyways,
yeah.
entertaining in this. And Debbie Harry plays the love interest, and I always thought she was just super attractive. And you can't get much more 80s than Debbie Harry and Blondie.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
Oh, well, other than the chick from the B-52s.
Oh yeah, I like her a lot. She did a song with Iggy Pop, "Candy." It's just a really good
Really?
song. Oh yeah, she's one of my favorites. Every time I get drunk and post stuff on Facebook, she's usually one of the people that I talk about. She's still kind of hot for a 80-year-old lesbian.
80-year-old lesbian?
Yeah,
No, she's not that old.
she's in her 70s. I can't
No
think of her
way.
name right now. Again, like I said, I was drinking, so I can't think of her name. But yeah, her and
You mean
Susanna
80-year-old
House from the
scissoring?
Bangles. She's got to be close to 80, if not 80.
76.
Yeah, there you go.
Man.
What was her name that I can't remember?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about Debbie Harry.
Kate Pearson?
No, Kate Pearson, yeah.
Kate Pearson. Okay, I'm sorry. I thought you were still talking about Debbie Harry.
She also did
Kate
Shiny Happy People with
Pearson.
Rem, by the way.
Yeah, which I fucking hate that song so much.
Mhm.
She's 74.
The video's the video's cool because she's doing that stupid dance she does in all of her videos. She's got one dance like Snoopy, and she does it in all the B-52 things and all the other videos she's in.
Jesus Christ.
Something about
Oh,
redheads.
you know what? She's from New Jersey.
Yeah. Her and Cyndi Lauper, they were both like, oh, I'm going through puberty and this stuff is on MTV all the time. This is awesome. And Cyndi Lauper had Captain Lou in all of her videos, which
yes.
goes towards my bear fetish, I guess.
Jesus Christ.
So,
and now we figured out why Richie's been friends with me since second grade.
so there's two horror movies in the 80s that I wanted to get into. I don't know. I'm sure you guys are familiar with this. Richie, we talked about
Two Bears, One Cup.
Yeah. There you go.
Don't kink shame.
No, listen, we had the episode where you were out on your date with Harley.
Okay. Yeah.
We called no, that was a good joke. No, we had
Two Herds, One Cup.
Yeah, it was Two Herds, One Cup was the subtitle.
Mm-hmm. That was amazing.
What was that line from Mad Love? Don't you want to rev up your Harley? When she's talking to the Joker.
One of my favorites. I was thinking about these 80s horrors, and I really just kind of stuck in my head. And I had one movie down as my one note, and I'm going to save that, I guess, toward the end. But Maximum Overdrive. You guys seen this?
Oh, was that the semi truck with the Green Goblin on it? I've never seen it, but I remember that cover.
Lisa Simpson plays a big role in that too.
Yes, she does. Yeah,
Charlie Smith is in that movie.
Yeah, and that's the movie that it was a Stephen King that he wrote for the movies.
Yeah,
like
he wrote it as Richard.
Yeah,
he wrote it as a pseudonym, Richard Bachman. Yeah,
and he directed it, and he doesn't remember making it because of all the cocaine that he was doing at the time. He remembers nothing about it.
Yeah,
it's not just that truck; it's all electronics come to life because of a comet for some reason. So like, there's a scene with a soda machine shooting soda cans at somebody to kill them.
Oh, that's fucking amazing.
In the beginning of the movies, where close to the beginning of the movies, where Stephen King makes his cameo, and he's at the ATM, and he's like, "Hey, honey, this machine just called me an asshole."
Oh, god damn it! Now we have to see that movie.
Oh, you never seen it?
No,
it was good.
Oh,
that's been on, like, when we were kids. That would be on Channel 57 on Saturday morning or something. Not Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon after the cartoons. You'd see like Maximum Overdrive, all cut up, and it was. It's fun. It's a fun movie. It's one of them so good it's bad.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah.
So I just searched for it, and I guess this is the IMDb pictures. But Yardley Smith, her eyes look like sideways buttholes. Like this picture, they picked the absolute worst fucking picture of her, like, of all time.
The only other thing I can remember her being in was that one with Christian Slater's sister, and she gets her period, and that's one of the lines in the movie is, "I got my period," but she says it like Yardley Smith, so it sounds like Lisa Simpson.
She was on that show, wasn't she? On Herman's Head?
Was she? I
feel like she was on Herman's Head.
I must have blocked out a lot of Herman's Head because I remember the name and I remember being the butt of jokes, and I'm sure I watched it, but I don't remember much about it.
How about you guys? Do either of you remember that show?
What, Herman's Head? Yeah, I remember the show, but I couldn't tell you much about it at this point. You know, because it's been many, many years since I've seen anything.
Ooh, you know what? Come to think of it, do you remember?
I've had a lot to drink. I don't know if I can.
Fucking hell! I just lost it. There was. Oh, that's what I was to say. So we're talking about the stuff that dudes have are movies that were like like adult horror movie type stuff, and then there was kids toys and cartoons. Do you guys remember the Teen Wolf cartoon?
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't a horror movie. Well, I'm sorry. That wasn't a R-rated scary horror movie. I'd argue that
that's
was
shit.
made for kids.
All right, fair enough.
yeah.
Well, you know what? Fuck
It's
you.
a werewolf. That could almost be a Disney movie. It's a werewolf that plays basketball. That's the plot. And he sexually assaults his best friend. So
Yeah,
I guess
Michael
there's that
J. Fox
scary
can't
point
do any
now.
of that stuff now.
All right, how about as I was thinking about it, there was another one that came up, and I'm trying to remember what the fuck it was because I'm going through this goddamn IMDb for Yeardley Smith now because now I have to know. And there was that one, and
She did this cartoon. I don't know if anything came from it or not, but it was like little yellow guys.
Yellow Guy.
I pose this question to you guys. How
I
about a
don't
movie
know.
that it was so bad in the 80s that you thought it was a horror movie?
Ooh,
I don't remember enough.
so bad I thought it was a horror movie.
When did Flowers in the Attic come out? And did anybody else see that?
Flowers in the Attic? No. Oh, okay.
in the
Yeah, she
Attic.
was on Herman's. She was on Herman's Head for 3 seasons
Wow.
for 72 episodes.
Flowers in the Attic. Why does that sound familiar?
That does
Flowers
sound
in the Attic was a V.C. Andrews book. I think it was one of the best-selling books in the 70s or 80s. I don't remember when it came out. That's why I'm getting confused. But one of the stars was Nurse Ratched from the original One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. It's about this mom who I don't remember thinking of a divorce or whatever, but something happens and the dad isn't in the picture. So she tries to go back to her parents' house, but they're rich and she can't bring the kids with her. So she hides them in the attic. And it's like a coming of age thing where the kids are hiding in the attic and they're getting poisoned by, you think it's the grandma, but it turns out it's the mom poisoning them later on. And the 2 oldest kids wind up having sex because that's what all V.C. Andrews books are about.
Yeah,
It's it was entertaining, but it's one of those, like, again, it's so bad it's good kind of things.
yeah. So I'm trying to think, Bink. I don't know. Like that's a tough one because I think it's tough because there's so many really terrible 80s movies that I've seen over the years, and particularly sequels of 80s movies that came out maybe in the later 80s. So like I don't know, just that's kind of what's in my mind, but I don't have a particular one that I'm like really thinking that would be up at the top.
Mine would be Kung Fu Zombie.
Okay, so now you need to talk to us about this.
Yes, I need to hear about Kung Fu.
One.
It's kind of like a not Jackie Chan. What's the other? Bruce Lee. It's kind of like making fun of Bruce Lee with zombies. It's just over the top weird. I just want
Is
to.
that anything like you ever see the story of Ricky?
Yes.
Ricky O. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
It's
weird,
kinda
very weird movie.
horror,
Kung Fu
yeah.
Zombie. It's one of those like Saturday morning special type things, but just an interesting watch. It's been years, decades since I've seen it. But I was always in the Bruce Lee and those type of movies, so I was like Kung Fu Zombie. It's kind of like going to the video store and seeing the cover, and you're like zombies and Kung Fu. It's got to be good, right?
It's like the American Fist of the North Star, the American one with God, it was Malcolm McDowell. If Malcolm McDowell's your villain in something, it's probably a made-for-TV or a very low-budget, especially in the 80s.
See, Fist of the North Star used to fuck me up because I always used to confuse it with North Star from Marvel Comics.
They're 2 totally different things.
Yeah.
One's Kung Fu Jesus.
Oh, okay.
Kung Fu Jesus / Mad Max.
All right, that makes sense.
It's the series. Like I once tried watching the series. It's like 139 episodes, and we're talking 80s anime, so it has the same quality and style that He-Man had. but like an anime. And it's just this
So
guy.
it's top notch, is what you're saying.
Oh yeah. Like they were talking about reuse scenes like all over the place for transformations and crap. It's cool. He kills people by finding their secret pain points. So this was a cartoon made for a kid. So of course it's he touches you on your pressure points and your head explodes in violent blood and gore because Japan has no problems with that stuff with their kids.
Right.
Hey.
Yeah, just God forbid adults see a penis going into a vagina.
I was thinking about when I think horror movies too in the 80s, I think of the creep show movies and the anthologies that we had, like the Tales from the Dark Side movie, the Twilight Zone movie, the 2 creep shows with Stephen King.
And correct me if I'm wrong here. Then Twilight Zone movie, didn't that just kind of rehash some old Twilight Zone skits?
It did. It did.
Rod,
yeah,
like
I think it was
early Rod Serling stuff.
Like one of the famous ones, the There's Something on the Wing of the Plane.
Right.
William Shatner did it in the original, and then the one in the movie, it was the guy from Third Rock. I can't think of his name.
John Lithgow.
John Lithgow. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that one. One of the ones that I know, this is probably the last one I've got. They Live. Roddy Piper.
John Carpenter again. Yeah.
Carpenter movie. Yep. And this is one of the few movies that I think, and I know I realize it's being Carpenter, it's going to hold up to an extent, but I think it's held up better as time's gone on. It's just I guess because a lot of the strange things in it about control and stuff, but it's a great sci-fi, I guess, almost sci-fi horror movie.
And consumerism. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's just it's really good in that regard. And Piper has the great Duke Nukem line in it too. So
yes,
and Keith David was just a perfect wingman for the stuff too.
Yep. And
nobody's brought up Poltergeist yet.
It's because it wasn't that great. I don't think
I've never seen it.
It was okay, but it's like you watch it once and you're like, oh, this is really okay, and then like you have the little girl who's creepy because little blonde girls are just creepy in general. Yeah. And then you have Zelda, whatever the hell her last name is a creepy
that creepy old lady?
Yeah, this house is clean.
Yeah.
Zelda Goldenstein, I forget what her name is.
Yeah, that is a pretty... for a kid, watching that as a kid, though, that is a pretty creepy one.
Well, it's got the scene with the clown, too, where he's sitting in bed and looking at the clown in the corner of his bedroom, and then he looks away and looks back and the clown's gone, going back to clown things, and it's under his bed.
That's right up Bob's alley.
Yeah, fuck that shit.
Do any of you guys watch Practical Jokers?
No.
Nah. As one of the punishments, one of the guys doesn't like horror movies, and they did a full poltergeist thing to him. It was hysterical.
I'm not trying to fuck around with that.
Why not?
The Phantasm movies, they were pretty good.
I remember that title, but I don't know the
villain's name was the Tall Man. It was just this creepy old guy who was super tall that was an Undertaker. And there wasn't much plot for the first one. He was some kind of creature from a different dimension, and he was stealing dead humans to turn into slaves, like unliving slaves, or undead slaves rather, in this other dimension. But then like there's a survivor at the end, and the survivor comes back throughout the next couple of movies in the series. And I think the middle ones are better than the first one, but the first one, like, it's creepier because of the atmosphere, almost like the first. I was going to say, I guess they're all scary, going back to the Hellraiser movies, but the first one's just so much different than the rest in the series, where the Cenobites almost take a side role, like they're just introduced there, and then they don't have bigger parts to the rest of them.
I think we're getting close to time here. We're going to try to keep these at an hour. So does anyone have one last horror movie you want to throw out and kind of chit-chat on?
My last one is The Shining.
Oh, yeah.
That movie is just...
Yeah. I've never sat down to watch the whole thing, but I feel like I've seen every clip of that movie at some point, either through watching it, like watching the clips, or through other shows that have spoofed it and kind of redone it. So,
I've been to the Stanley. It's in Estes Park, Colorado.
Oh yeah.
But I didn't know when I went in there. I didn't realize that that's what that was at the time, because we were in the basement having lunch, and I was like, "This place looks really familiar." It happens to be, the bar scene in Dumb and Dumber where they're in the orange and the blue suits
Yeah.
and putting out the vibe. That's also at the Stanley where they filmed The Shining. Yeah, so that's where I knew it from, because I just want to go by the door and be like, "We landed on the moon." So yeah,
I think we should.
but so yeah, that's it's hard to get scarier than that one.
What about the Care Bears movie?
Ooh, that's that's what Bink, to answer your question of 80s horror movies right there.
Yep.
There you go.
Yep, Care Bears. Now would be the gay stare or something.
That canon Masters of the Universe movie was bad horror. Yeah.
Did
Dolph
Roger
Lundgren.
Corman's Fantastic Four come out in the 80s or
No,
90s?
it was never released, and it was the 80s. So I think now that's a good question.
What about that shitty Captain America movie? That shitty Dolph Lundgren Punisher movie?
I like the Dolph Lundgren Punisher movie.
I haven't
like
seen it.
Captain
I'm only
America.
saying it's shitty because it was.
There was a 90s. There was a Doctor Strange that may have been from the 70s. That was really bad. And Nick Fury with
David
Light.
Hasselhoff.
I can't think of. Thank you. Yeah, that was bad. Oof.
Yeah. Didn't they not have him wearing an eye patch too? Because it was.
Oh no, he was wearing an eye patch. It was just still bad. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
It's
I mean, it was
kind of a recurring theme that pretty much not every thing we've talked about, but a lot of this is like, wow, that's a really bad. So
Yeah.
I think that's kind of lends credence to the point where a lot of this stuff does. I'm not saying everything we've talked about, but a lot of just does not hold up or age well.
Right.
And I think it's a lot of things from the 80s, honestly. Certain things will, but a lot of these movies we've talked about, it's amazing me just kind of looking back at like the some of these lists of the top movies, and seeing the Fly and the Blob on the top horror movie lists for Rotten Tomatoes cracks me up, because obviously they're heavy remakes, and it's like that's really the best they kind of had to offer was remaking 50s films. I don't know.
The remake of The Fly though was so, even the Blob, but The Fly was so different than the original that
it's a different.
It's almost like not the same movie.
Yeah, it's just funny to see those on there. I don't know, cracking me up, but I don't know. Anyone else? Yeah, go ahead.
Speaking of Cronenberg, so a little bit of a Cronenbergian horror cartoon that was not horror at all. Do you guys remember Turbo Teen? So this dude, whenever he would get emotional or hot, like whenever he would his body would heat up, he would turn into a car.
I don't remember this.
It was I think it only had 5 or 6 episodes, but yeah, it was this dude, and he got what did he get struck by lightning when he was in his car, and his car and him merged, and then whenever he would get upset or whatever, he would turn into a car, he would turn into his car, and then his girlfriend would ride in him and stuff, and then they had to cool him down to get him to turn back into a human. It was, and I don't, or maybe it was when he got cold. Yeah, it must have been when he got hot, he turned into a car, and then he had to cool off to turn back into a human. But yeah, it was it's lost media too, because there's I think only 1 or 2 episodes still are around, and you have to search for them on YouTube, but the other ones were all lost.
Yeah, 13 episode run, 84 to 85, ran on ABC. Yeah. It wow.
I remember having a coloring book of it.
It's probably the only time this is going to get mentioned. So, do you have any other Turbo Teen things you want to talk about?
No. I mean, Turbo Teen was just, for whatever reason that's going to stick in my head. I forget people's names. I forget important shit. but Turbo Teen will live in my head forever. So is it really ever really lost media?
When you die.
When I
should
die,
stop
yeah.
recording right there. That was perfect.
You should
Turbo
have.
Teen will live in my head forever.
Yeah, unfortunately. It's kind of like The Legend of Zelda. I'll always remember where everything is at in the original Legend of Zelda, but fucking don't ask me how to get to somewhere important down here because I don't fucking know.
Excuse me, princess.
Oh, Jesus Christ, that cartoon too.
Oh, there you go. Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. That was that's the one where 3 more days till Halloween, Silver Shamrocks with the masks, and it's a witch's cult trying to steal kids' souls to bring back the devil. It has nothing to do with Michael Myers. They tried to turn the series into an anthology series.
Huh.
That was really good.
Did the Leprechaun come out in the 80s?
Which one?
The Leprechaun?
No, it was 93.
I want to say that's 90.
Okay.
Yeah, that's got to be
93.
90s.
Oh, yeah, 93.
The Dark Cauldron is another 80s movie that was scary. That's the Disney one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dark Cauldron's a good one.
Oh, yeah, 85. Dark Cauldron. All right, Black Cauldron. Dark Cauldron?
Black Cauldron.
Black Cauldron. Yeah, Black Cauldron.
Disney.
If it came out now, it would be the Dark Cauldron.
All right. Well,
The Last Dragon probably doesn't count, but that's one of those that's so bad it's good movies too. That was
what's
Leroy.
So bad it's bad movie though? Give me a so bad it's bad.
Well,
So
we
bad
already
it's bad.
We already brought up
we
Strike Back. Yeah, not James Bond Strike Back. The other one, a reboot.
Garbage Pail Kids.
No, I like that, and that goes back to our beginning talk with John Aston because that's his untalented son, Mackenzie Aston. You had Sean Aston who went on to do movies and stuff. Mackenzie did Facts of Life and then went on to do Garbage Pail Kid that was never heard from again ever.
He got turned into an actual Garbage Pail Kid.
And
by that I mean they killed him, chopped him up, and threw him in a garbage pail.
Well, that's some really bad special effects too. And was David Warner that seems like it'd be a David Warner movie. I think he was the guy that owned the shop.
Oh shit! I still have not seen that movie. I do need to watch it.
Garbage Pail Kids? Jesus Christ.
Dude, I remember wanting to see that movie so fucking bad and never
come back to PA. I got all this crap either on Plex or on physical media somewhere.
All right, deal. I need a break from Florida.
All right. Let's chop. You want to give us an official sign off, Bob?
So this has been our 80s horror movie marathon episode. God, that was terrible. I hate myself for that. Check us out, or at this point, don't. I mean, you can go to our website at noisebrigadepod.com. You can buy some merch. You can go to doublewidecoffin.com and get to the same website and still buy some merch. And, the merch goes to a good charity. It goes to the Tom, Bobby, and Richie are poor and need money fund. And maybe we'll throw Bink a nickel. And then check us out on Facebook. Check us out on Twitter. And until next time, remember, kids, 2 herds, 1 cup.